Melissa, walk us through a normal day in your shoes. What time do you wake up? Coffee or tea? What kind of coffee or tea? Tell us about a normal day.
Oh my goodness. So I get up between 5:30 and 6. I usually meditate first thing in the morning. So I get up, I sit with my thoughts. I only meditate for maybe like 12 minutes. Kind of just like, how am I feeling today? Kind of get centered, get ready for my day. I usually don't do any coffee until actually the afternoon, which is
Oh,
like so,
really?
yeah. But
Oh, why is that bad?
well, okay, so people say caffeine keeps you up. I'm tired at the end of the day, so I go to bed, so I don't have a problem. But I usually just try to do water in the morning. Um,
Healthy.
but yeah, so I get up, kind of get ready for day, put my makeup on, all that good stuff. I have a 3-year-old, so I like to kind of do all that stuff before she gets up. She gets up around 7:30.
Mhm.
So I like to get up. If I'm working out that morning, I do my workout before she gets up so that I'm kind of like centered, ready for my day.
Mhm.
Before I go to sleep the night before, though, this is like the biggest thing that has been helpful for me. I make a list and I just do mine on in like an email draft of the things that I have to do the next day.
Oh, you
So
do
that
it the day before. Nice.
yeah, so that when I get up, so, and then that will help if I'm working out that morning, maybe I'll get up at 5:30 instead of 6. If
Right.
I have some things that I have to do on MLS, I want to get a listing ready before my daughter gets up, I'll know that okay, well at 5 a.m. I'm going to be on my computer. But making that list the day before was a game changer for me because if you're just getting up and getting dressed and then getting your coffee and then you're sitting down. It's already 10 o'clock. You don't know what you're doing. So I like to make that list the night before, but I always get up between 5:30 and 6, meditate, do a workout, get dressed, all that stuff. I like to have a calm morning so that when I get my daughter up, it's nice and calm. But yeah, I make that list the night before. So that my morning really starts before I leave my desk that night. Um, I've got her up, make her breakfast, and then that's nice. I want to have my time with her.
Mhm.
So between like 7:30 and 9, we're having breakfast, we're running around, drop her off at school, and then I have a home office here, that's where I am now. So I'll either come back here and work on emails or if there's a training that I'm doing, things like that. I'll do that usually between like 10 and 11:30-ish, kind of sit and do things like that in the office, schedule any appointments I need. And then, again, depending on the day, my daughter's 3, so sometimes I'll pick her up at lunchtime. Sometimes she'll stay the full day. And then usually afternoon is appointments.
Okay, so afternoon there's appointments, there's viewings. Okay, and then
Yeah,
what time does that all end?
that's different every day. So definitely boundaries is still something that I'm working on, but I really do try to work at my client schedule. So like last night, my afternoon, I had an appraisal in the early afternoon. I came back to my desk and then I was meeting a client actually in Hempstead last night at 5:30. So I got home at like 7:30 last night. Um, but that's one of the things that I really like about my job, that every day is different.
Uh-huh.
You have to be organized, though. You definitely have to have systems in place or you'll be scrambling. So, again, like that list, and it doesn't sound like a system, it's literally an email draft. So
Mhm.
simple, but it makes such a big difference because if I don't know what I'm doing the next day, there's no way I could possibly plan for the day. And you don't want to be planning for your day in the moment.
Well, another thing about our job is things pop up during the day. So like it's you can only write down so much because things pop up and then it's one of those jobs where you don't really know to the full extent
Yeah.
what the next day is going to look like.
Absolutely. And that's again, like that's really one of the things that drew me to this job. And actually what I really liked about my old job too, every day is different. You're working with teams, you're working on projects. You have to be creative. But yeah, even more so, like, so I really need to know like what are the things that I have to get done, Thursday morning, on Wednesday night, I'm writing those things down and I'm getting up and I'm getting them done before the day ensues. Because again, like you said, you could get a call from, we have a title problem. We have, I had one yesterday. We thought the closing was going to be on Friday. The client can't get back here now until the following Monday. So like everything needs to be reworked.
Mhm.
I have people coming in, like we're moving things in now this weekend. All those things are part of our job and they're the reason why we have a job. If this was easy,
Yeah, yeah,
people would not need realtors.
yeah.
But even more so, that's why like having a good morning routine, I guess, has been really important.
And how do you wind down in the night?
Uh I really don't have a good answer for that. I should have a good wind down routine. I don't. I usually just like work until I'm tired. I try not to go to bed past 11 o'clock. So if I'm like still sitting at my computer and working, I'll say, okay, it's 10:30. You got to start shutting down for the night. So anything that wasn't done, goes on my list for the next day. I do not have a wind down though. I kind of just like work, work, work. It's not the best.
So you must be dealing with a lot of clients then.
Yeah, and again, it's like I really this job is it's really a customer service job. And like I think people don't always understand that, like especially now with like and I don't get me wrong, I love $1 million listing. I just don't think it's a fair representation of our job.
Mm.
So I think not only are there a lot of consumers out there who really need to be educated on what we do, but there's also, I think, a lot of realtors out there who get into the business because they think it's going to be like fun and glamorous. And then
Yep.
they're like, oh my God, I have to manage 5 schedules. Like, yeah, that's the job. That's
Yep.
your customer service. So I really love people. So I think the fact that I'm working with people is energizing to me. So, like, if I am up till 10 o'clock, but I'm going to find you some houses in an area that you didn't think that you liked or that you didn't think about, but it's exactly what you want. And it took me, an extra 20 minutes to figure out where that area might be or where that sweet spot might be. And I'm just looking at, like, I'm just on MLS looking at houses. So, you know what I mean? So like I get a lot, I get a lot of energy from it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what I would assume is that you're an extrovert,
Yes.
and that
Oh,
you get
you couldn't tell.
that you get energy from other people, which you brought that up, and that's a good point
Yeah.
because there are some people who are not really people, and those
Yeah.
people, that this might not really be the job for you if you're not. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. And I say that all the time. Like, this is a customer service job. If you do not like people, it is slow torture. And you meet those agents out there. They're rolling their eyes. When you call them, they're like, their attitude is, what do you want? I'm trying to make you money. Smile.
Yeah, one of my biggest pet peeves in the job is nasty realtors, and it's crazy because like I'm sure you've been in the job for 13 years, but you know how like when there's like this automatic tension between like listing agents and buying agents, and to me it's like it's so petty that like that tension, it's so petty to
It's a,
me.
where we need to be collaborating. Like nobody, and again, I think $1 million listing has made this so difficult because they're seeing these negotiations where they're like, take the deal, take the deal, take the deal. Sure, sometimes I guess, but like 99.9% of the time, this needs to be a deal that both parties are excited about.
Yeah.
So like, let's work on making that happen. And if we can't make that happen, the most efficient way to find that out is to work together because we can find that out in 5 minutes if we're talking. And time is money. Time is money for the sellers. Time is money for the buyers too.
Yeah, and whenever someone gives me an attitude, I always wonder like that has to affect your business. I've said this in like five other podcasts, but still, like I see it all the time, and it really bugs me. The way that people just let their egos get in the way, and well, I try to have the mentality of don't let your ego affect your money, sort of thing.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And your ego is going to get in the way of your creativity. Your
Yeah.
ego is going to get in the way every single time. Curiosity. You need to be curious about how we can solve this problem. The ego is the opposite of that, in my opinion. So, like, that's a roadblock.
Yes.
And again, like, this isn't about us. Like, this is about the people. If you
Right.
focus on the people, then I don't even, it's really hard to get into that ego mindset when you're focused on this person and how I can help this person as efficiently as possible in this situation that we're in.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I've had some also great experiences with agents, especially, post COVID, the market is crazy. Things go really fast. Emotions run high. Things can get really sticky really fast. And I've had a few situations this year where because I was working with great professionals, we were able to get everyone's clients to the finish line. So like it makes a huge difference and it makes a difference between deals that die and deals that close.
Personality makes a huge difference in the
Yeah.
process. So do you work 7 days a week or 5 days a week? How many
Yeah.
days a week?
I work 7 days a week. So I will, if I see a day in my schedule that is empty, I will try my best to protect it. But again, I like to make money. I like my job, so I'm okay with, getting a morning off instead of a whole day. But again, one of the things that I will absolutely admittedly say is that I need to work on. work-life balance for sure. But I think it's the same, I think we have one life. I think maybe I just think about it a little differently. And I had a boss when I was a video producer, I worked for a startup. And I remember we were doing some piece of social media for him, and he was like walking through Battery Park City, and he was talking about how like people talk about work-life balance. You have one life. It's one. So like I'm not trying to be these two different people, and how easy is it? Like I'm living my life and I'm with my daughter, and then my phone rings and a client calls and I'm on the phone with my client. So it's pretty fluid for me, but it's also very easy for me to like get to a point where I'm like, I haven't had a day off in 3 weeks.
Are you feeling burnt out?
Definitely sometimes. Again, like it's definitely like it keeps going. Do you have kids?
I don't.
So it's like, what's a good way to put it? It's like you're trying to focus on something and somebody else is talking, and then you're trying to focus on the person that's talking, and then somebody else is calling. So I think it's a lot of like, again, having those systems.
Multitasking.
Yeah. And like those systems are super helpful then too, because like getting overwhelmed, you can't help anybody with anything. Um, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think I could work on taking a little bit more of a break. But it's also good. I'm lucky. So I get, again, a lot of energy from meeting with my clients. So even if I'm like tired or if I'm in a bad mood, one of the best things I can do is get on the phone or, go door knocking or go meet a client or something like that. And then my mood will turn around.
Well, that's really interesting though, because it sounds like work gives you energy.
Yes.
Like I mean, it's so much better to be in a position where it gives you energy rather than takes it away.
And like I'm glad, and I don't know how I was like so brave in that moment. Like I always think about like how did I decide to like I'm just going to be a realtor now? Like I don't know if I could do, what you think about these times in your life where you're like, wow, that was really brave. Like, but
Well,
I don't know.
you said that you were a personal assistant before, so I would imagine that you learned
Oh,
a bit of
no,
that.
I was a video producer before. So I did it's strange. So
Mhm.
the jobs were very similar. So I filmed educational seminars for lawyers. So it was people who were coming in and they were not necessarily used to being on camera. They
Mhm.
weren't used to, so, a lot of them were in the room. We did live programs, but a lot of times these people were in the room by themselves. If it's 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, sometimes people can't come. But a lot of it was explaining what is going to happen, making them feel comfortable, making them feel welcome, making them feel empowered. And the information is so empowering, not only being like, you're going to be okay because like you're a great person, but also being like, we're going to mic you and then the lights are going to come on. You have your PowerPoint, here it is, all that stuff. And just going from someone coming in and being nervous to them finishing what they came here to accomplish and be so excited. That's really the thing that I was connecting to with my old job. And like, that's really the thing that connects me to this job. But yeah, I'm really lucky. And I also like, I think it was a bold move to be like, okay, well, this feels natural. So I'm going to make this change.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
real estate is always a bold move because the salary is not guaranteed, and for the new people, for the people that are thinking about the job, you get paid when you close. It's not per hour, it's not per year. You get paid if you close, not even when you close.
right.
So a lot of people don't even close their first year. Where do you get your leads from?
So now, I mean, again, I've been in for 13 years. So most of my leads now are Sphere, our referral business.
Uh,
I work really hard on keeping in touch with my old clients. And again, like I'm an extrovert, so a lot of it is natural that I like, I think I see something or I think of something, and I'm like, oh, hey, I was thinking about you. But you can be really intentional about those things too. You can make a list and say, okay, well, I'm going to reach out to 5 people from my Sphere every day. And
mhm.
that doesn't have to be a phone call. It doesn't have to be I made this, I make little Popeyes for my clients quarterly. It's really cute and they love it, but it doesn't have to be that every single time. It can
Right.
be, hey, I saw, I was with a client the other day, and she has a really good nose. She can always smell water. And it reminded me, yeah, like uncanny. And I had another client, and this is who I ended up texting as one of my 5 a couple of years ago, and she had like we would walk through a threshold, and she'd be like, "I smell water." And I'd be like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then we get to the basement, and there would be water. Like she was never wrong.
Wow.
So she was just one of my people the other day. I had another client that said, "Oh, I smell water," and she ended up being right. Naturally, it made me think of Mary. So I just pulled out my phone. Hey, I was thinking about you. I hope you're having a great day. And
Mhm.
like little things like that. Like I feel like we try to reinvent the wheel, but if
Mhm.
you just focus on, are there 5 people from my sphere that I can text today? You can say something silly. You could say something about the market. But people don't always want to hear about the market.
Yeah, sometimes people just want to hear how
Yeah.
are you, treat them
Yeah.
like a human being. And I also noticed that you mentioned door knocking before. Are you
Mm-hmm.
still door knocking?
I still door knock, yeah. So I do it. I don't do it as much as I used to because again, now with AI and all that stuff, there's a lot of more what's the right word, efficient ways to get in front of people. But I love door knocking. My first listings ever came from door knocking.
Really?
I was very lucky. The broker who I used to work with, she was a door knocker, so she taught me how to do it. We did way more door knocking than cold calling too. Cold calling, you can kind of cover more ground.
Yeah.
But it just being in front of someone, and especially like for me, I'm an extrovert. So like if I can be in front of you, like you'll get more of my personality if I'm in front of you than if I'm on the phone.
Do you go by
But
yourself?
hmm?
You go by yourself?
Sometimes, yeah, I usually, so again, and it depends on like how you feel. So I kind of just go on how you feel. Most of the time, I'm not getting into the houses that moment. Most people are not going to go, let me show you
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
house. Do you have a listing agreement with you? So
No.
most of the time, it's just conversation at the door that will lead to when can I come back?
Mhm.
And even say something like, well, I don't have time right now because I have to I have to meet the rest of your neighbors. Usually what I'll do is off of a listing of mine, or if I'm having an open house, I don't have time to pop in right now. I want to get the news out about this open house, but when in the next, 3 days is good for you. And try to schedule that appointment. So, but most of the time people are not, come in, let me show you. You have good conversations. The reason why I really like it is the conversations you have can be really good. And then also, especially as a new agent, I'm learning market numbers because I'm preparing something to go out. You don't just go out and knock and don't have anything prepared. So whether that be your market numbers, whether that be a recent sale in the area, and you should know your market numbers if you're going door knocking
Of
because
course,
people
yeah.
are going to ask you what's going on
Yep,
if they're
yep.
talking to you. You
Mhm.
don't want to say I don't know. But even just preparing to have those conversations, even if you don't even see one person, which if you're going out for 2 hours, you're going to run into at least one person. Um, but if you're going out there, you're now educating yourself. You're getting used to the real estate vocabulary. So maybe next time you're standing in line at Starbucks and you hear someone talking about taxes, maybe you just open your mouth and start talking because you have a thought in your head. So, it's beneficial for a lot of different things. And I think people get so hung up on, especially with door knocking, because people hate it. And I used to teach door knocking. People would come to the first class, the one with my PowerPoint, and this is why it's important, and this is what we're going to do. And then we get to the second day, which was we're going to go, and then nobody would come. But it makes it easier for the people who do because it's something easy and free you can do to set yourself apart.
Well, I would imagine that when you go door knocking, you usually get a deal like much, much, much later. Like they save your number and then you get the deal much later. Is that usually how it works with you?
So actually, the ones that I've gotten, it's been pretty, certainly not the same day, but people who are thinking to list, I think for door knocking, and especially if you're gonna knock, you're gonna do like your 10, 10, 20, like knock around whether it's your listing or an office listing. Um, I think people who are see open house signs are, and the reason why that rule, the 10, 20, 20 rule is a rule, 10 on this side, 10 on this side, and I think it's like 20 mailers or
Oh.
something. Um, is because when people see an open house sign, they're going to think about it. So the listings that I have gotten from door knocking are usually within like a couple 6 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
So door knocking can be a good turnover. And there are lots of people that will say, I'm not ready now, call me in a year. But you have to be really good on your follow up because you will lose those people. They're not thinking about it right now. And unless they put your card in their refrigerator, it's going to be hard for them to find you. So definitely following up with those people and capturing them. Another thing I do, you could give a piece of information. Oh, well, I would love to email you your market statistics. And especially now, depending on your brokerage, a lot of these brokerages have great CRMs that are associated with them. Use your free CRM. I would love, you're not ready today. I'd love to send you some market numbers. Can I send you some market numbers? What is your email address? Now
Mhm.
you have them in your CRM. So you can touch them without even thinking about it. And again, you have to set those things up though. So making sure that the systems are in place is really important.
Yes, following up. I'm glad you brought up the concept of following up. Very, very, very important. Should be following up with at least one person a day, maybe even someone from 2, 3 years ago, because that one little text and one little call, that could lead to a closing. And I've also learned, in my opinion anyway, to call instead of text. I think that calling seems to be more effective, more friendly. So I feel, would you agree with that, that calling is a little bit more effective than texting?
So calling is definitely more friendly. I like to be, again, like I want to be in front of you. Like I'll come to your house, like I'll bring, tell me what kind of coffee you want.
Yeah.
But I think for everybody's different. So I actually find the text is more likely to get a response because
Mhm.
people who are happy to hear from you are going to pick up your phone call. People don't want to hear from a realtor might not pick up. What I've actually been doing that I found a lot of use out of is if they don't pick up, instead of texting them, send them a video, text them a video. And I actually have a client in Port Jefferson. He was the lead, and he's very timid. And the way that I actually got him to sit down and kind of like actually be like, okay, let me see the house. Let me give you an idea of value here. I sent him a video and I said, hey, Ron, been trying to get in touch with you. I hope you're having a nice day. I have a lot of great information that I'm really excited to share with you. Hope to talk to you soon. And he had not, I think I had called him 3 or 4 times and he had not responded. And I was like, let me just send this video. And I sent it to him and he responded and
It,
we made the appointment. So even like doing something like that or making a video, hey, I just showed a house in your area today. These are your market numbers. I hope you're having a great day. And then it's a way for you to get in front of them and it's passive for them. So they don't have to sit in front of you, which is can be scary. We have a bad rap. Agents have a bad rap.
yeah,
And like for some of it is for a good reason, unfortunately.
yeah.
So like people don't want to be sold. So if you can prove to them that you're just going to give them information in a passive way, it depends on the person. I like to door knock. I want to be in front of you. That's what I would like. But yeah, there are definitely people who respond better to text than call as well.
So video, that's actually the first time I ever heard that. I've seen people do it, but I've never really like talked about it. So that's a
Yeah.
really, really interesting piece of advice. Really important to mention their name in the video so that
Yes.
they don't think that it's like some sort of like copy paste
Yes.
sort of thing.
Yes.
But yeah, that sounds like a really, I've never actually tried that. It's always been like a call or text or an email. So maybe I'll try the video thing. That
Yeah,
sounds like a
it's a
really
passive way for them to still hear the inflection in your voice and see your face. It's a way to build trust without them having to be eye to eye with you for real. And it's I was surprised. I was like, I'm just gonna send this. It was like the last stitch, like, okay, if he doesn't answer me, I'm gonna leave him alone. And he responded. And I was like, that's amazing. And then I went to like we did a CMA, like I'm gonna be meeting with him. He caught COVID, but we're gonna be meeting some cleanup companies because
nice.
he's probably gonna be ready to go soon. And like the thing is like I wasn't bothering him. I'm trying to help him. And like he wouldn't have known that. So like that's also I think a big thing that gets in people's ways when they're lead prospecting is I don't want to bother anyone. You're not bothering them. They need you. Get in front of them.
Yeah, that I'm not bother that I don't want to bother them mindset really, really slowed me down in my first year. I mean,
Same.
that is, and this is a really, really important topic to me. How do you sell without coming across as salesy? Because that in my first year, that, I feel like that really slowed me down, that whole like, because I'm a little bit more introverted and I've always, I hate bothering people. And
Yep.
even me myself, like, I get a lot of cold calls. I hate
Right.
being bothered myself. So
Yeah.
how do you like find that balance of like selling without coming across as too salesy?
So I try to focus on the service. Don't focus on the sale. Focus on the service. Focus on the person. Like again, like you got to take yourself out of it. Get out of your head. My goal on this conversation is not to get a listing. My goal on this conversation is to find out if you need help. What can I help you with? And like I've had people where met them at their door and they don't want to sell, but they want to know like something about where their property line is. I know how to submit a FOIL request.
Mhm.
That's free. So like I could do that for you. Like now I'm coming, yeah, I knocked on your door, but you need help and now I'm helping you. So, things like that, making sure you have a valuable piece of information that really helped me change my mindset. What am I telling this person? Am I going and saying, "Oh, we're having an open house. I love to door knock for my open houses. It's one of the easiest ways, and it's a very passive way to get people to know you."
Mhm.
I'm having an open house next Saturday from 12 to 2. I'm just letting the neighbors know. Everyone knows at least 200 people. There's no better cheerleaders for this neighborhood than the people who already live here. I'd love to see you at the house. I like the nosy neighbor because, again, everyone knows 200 people. Who
Mhm.
likes to live here more than the people that already live here? Nobody. So,
Mhm.
like, come, nosy neighbor. I want you to see the house. Um, but things like that. And like door knocking and saying, I have this piece of information for you. Or even, I'm doing this for my client, my open house client. I'm not here trying to get a sale. I'm here trying to sell their house. So just take yourself out of it. It will make it easier. And another thing that I do, if you're making calls, put a mirror in front of you. Your face should look like you're having a conversation. If your face
Interesting.
doesn't look like you're having a conversation, you sound dead on the phone. Like,
I've never, wow, these are really interesting pieces of advice. I never heard the
yeah,
mirror thing.
yeah, yeah. And for voiceover, it's really helpful for voiceover too, to do it in front of a mirror. And if you don't look like you're happy, you're not going to sound like you're happy.
Did you make up that piece of advice or did you hear it from
I'm
some?
a video producer, so those are just things that like I took. And yeah, I just like I found that if, like doing a Zoom, I can see myself. You know what I mean? I can see myself doing this, doing a video. And when I first started, I do a lot of video, but when I first started in real estate, I was making side money on making video tours for realtors. So
Hmm.
a lot of those things where I was doing the voiceover. So like I would record it and then I'd be like, this sounds horrible. But if you do it when you're smiling, it doesn't.
Well, when you're smiling, it actually does affect the way that you talk because your cheeks are pulled back, and then
Yeah.
people, if the person is perceptive, they can hear that those little tiny inflections. And
And people are perceptive. We just
yeah.
don't realize like all that stuff happens under the surface. And like the person on the phone is not going to say to you, you sounded really dead on the phone, or like you sounded tired, or you sounded uninterested. Like they're not going to say that. They're just going to go, oh no, I don't have time for this conversation. And they might still say that anyway. But even so, it's again, it's not about today, what am I getting today? What am I getting a yes today? It's about getting into the vocabulary of real estate. It's about seeing who's out there that you can help. And if there's no one today, at least you've learned, your market numbers and you know how to have a conversation about them. So if you're at the grocery store and you've run into somebody, then it's going to be more natural coming out of your mouth. And that's how I really got my first like sphere listing. I just been doing so much market numbers and I was at the gym and some woman that is in one of the classes that I go to was talking about her taxes. And I just said, "Oh, you live in Holbrook? I love Holbrook. Holbrook Ronkonkoma is my favorite area. Sachem is a very highly rated school district. And for the taxes, it's really a gem. Like it's a really great area." And that literally 2 weeks later, we were signing her listing.
Are you
And
in Suffolk or Nassau?
I'm in Suffolk.
I actually grew up in Bayshore.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So I live in Mount Sinai. I'm on the North Shore now. But yeah, so my gym is in Ronkonkoma. I go all over. I like to
'Cause
travel.
I heard you mention Nassau before, so I mean, when you're a realtor, you have to go all over. You can't stay in one area. But
And again, like I want to go where the people that I can help are. So like I have a client right now we're getting ready. I don't know exactly when we're going to be going up, but she's in Queens Village. I met a client in Hempstead yesterday. I just closed something in Islip Terrace. So I'll go wherever. I also specialize, we didn't talk too much about this. I specialize in working with people who are of advanced age. So a
oh,
lot of my clients will be dependent on obviously like people that I know, whether it be attorneys or, in-home care specialists, things like that. So yeah, so my client that's in Queens Village is one of those clients.
interesting. And what made you go that route?
So when I do my continuing education, I like to do it in person. And what I usually do is I'll just get a designation because why not if I'm paying for it anyway.
Mhm.
So I just the class and this was maybe like 8 years ago. So it was either my first or second time that I had to do the continuing ed. And my broker was like, you should get a designation. So I just look, okay, what designations are available when I'm available for in person? So like SRES. Okay, cool. And then I got into the class and I started hearing about how, what's the right word? Like how much people of this demographic are taken advantage of.
Hmm.
And then I started meeting with like estate attorneys and organizers and things like that, and people who would be affiliated with this demographic of those of advanced age.
Uh-huh.
And then the stories that I was hearing for that from them were like really awful about, and like realtors signing contracts for 2 years and saying they were for 6 months,
Uh,
and it's this big and they're not going over the contract.
yeah.
Family members aren't there. And like then brokers who are standing behind these contracts that are just saying, no, we're not going to release you. You sign this. See you
Uh,
in 2 years. Insane. So it really just became a thing again where I was just like, okay, this is somewhere where I can really help. And then I worked with my first client and the family, there are really two types of families when you're dealing with these types of clients. There are the bulldog families that like are like, get away from my relative, get away from my relative, which
yeah.
that's what I want. Let's
Uh-huh.
all sit down together. Let's all sit down together when you're putting this house into a trust. I don't want you to feel sold. I
Mhm.
want to answer all of your questions. I want you guys to feel empowered. And then there's the other families who are just like, it's my house, it's my money, it's my inheritance, it's my. So either way, like those people need help. Whether it's the senior where you're like, listen, trying to essentially say, this is your house. You're still here. You need to be able to take care of yourself. Let's make a plan. Or whether it's, proving to the family that I'm not someone that's going to come in and just, sign a 2 year listing and sell this out from under your parent. And like again, I think those people, it can be tricky, it can be intimidating, but I'm not here to sell. So like it's not intimidating to me. And I think that also sets me apart. And will set everyone, again, those agents who are struggling with not wanting to bother people have an opportunity because if you're worried about that, you already care more than 90% of the people who are out here.
Yeah, and it's really sad because we're supposed to respect our elders, so that's the most sad part. And I hear, I hear people all the time, people that then getting caught in these scams, and scam
Yes.
artists are getting better and better. So
Yes.
it's a really sad situation, and
I
it
had a
is.
client, the guy came in, he said he wanted to buy, she was a for sale by owner,
Mhm.
said he wanted to buy, said he was having an inspector come in. The inspector was actually a photographer and they illegally listed it on MLS.
Elite.
And
Wow.
illegally, yes, without her knowledge. So her attorney, I knew her attorney. So her attorney reached out to me and said, this is what has happened. Can you go meet with her? And obviously there's a multitude of issues and her only concern was that like her like underwear was all over the bed in these photos. It was like awful, like on so many levels you feel violated.
Huh.
We were able to get the listing down, we were able to get her property sold. It was happy times for everyone. But again, like these people are out there, they need help. So like focusing on like how can I help that person? Like I wasn't when I met her, I was not focused on how am I going to get this sale and stressing myself out. How am I going to get her to say yes? She had this bad experience. How am I going to get around it? Just focus on, oh my God, like I'm so sorry this happened to you. Here's the plan. Here's what I'm going to do. And it involved my broker getting involved and calling zone chair people and things like that. This person did not have a real estate license.
Wow.
They were trying to get a finder's fee or something like that.
How did they get
Um,
in on MLS without being a realtor?
I don't know if they used maybe like a sun because this was so long ago. It might have been like a Sunshine Realty where like I'm not even sure. They might have had a partner that had their real estate
A
license.
friend, a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was really difficult to get it down. And even with the zone chairperson calling and us saying this is illegal, it still took almost a week to get the listing down. Um, yeah.
And this is why people hate realtors. This is why, because
Yes.
it's just like this. It
But,
makes it
but
makes us all look bad.
It's true, but this is the thing, like we are customer service people. It should be harder to get your real estate license. Everywhere else in the world, you have to go to 4 year, well, I don't know if it's 4 years, but you have to go to a program and you get a formal degree. America's the only place where like you can go. I got my license in a week and a half. I did a
Really?
9 day intensive. Yeah, I did a 9 day intensive at the American Real Estate School or whatever it's called. And then I took my test the following Tuesday. I had my license.
Do you think
So
that it should be harder?
yes, it should be harder, and it should also be more expensive to maintain your license. If they're not going to make
Want
it
the
harder,
price, you want the prices to jack up.
yes. Oh, and it will make all of our jobs easier. The people who are doing 2 deals a year and don't have the experience to be out here doing what they're doing for their clients would not be able to afford to stay in the business. The people who would be able to pay, and we have like the cheapest dues in America right now. Like Long Island, our I know the system is garbage, but it's it's very cheap. But if it was more expensive, even if like the yearly fee to maintain your license, double it, triple it. The people who are making money are going to be able to pay it. The people who are not aren't, and that's going to make all of our jobs easier. It's going to make it easier to maintain reputations as professionals. It's going to be easier to work because the people who we're going to be running into are going to be professionals, and it's going to be better for the consumers. But yeah, I know. I'm like, that's the opposite of what every other realtor is saying.
No,
Like,
you
I don't
have
think our lobbyists are going to go, make it more expensive, make it more expensive. But I really think that's probably what would work.
no, it's a really interesting perspective. I'm smiling because you're saying a lot of things that I've never heard before. So a very interesting
Oh, good.
perspective. And
Good. I'm setting myself apart. Excellent.
yes, you're definitely setting yourself apart, which is I guess why you're so successful. Next question. Tell us about one unforgettable experience you've had in your career.
Um, well, honestly, I'm trying to think like what is the craziest one?
Or
I mean, that
unforgettable. It could be good or bad, either one. If you want to give one of each, it's up to you.
yeah. Well, I think definitely one of the best moments was the one I was just talking about, that woman who had her house illegally listed. And we were able to not only get the illegal listing down, we were able to get her way more than she ever thought she could get and get her onto her next spot. So she ended up moving out of state. Um, so that was a good experience because when the attorney called me, it was a very stressful situation. The first time I talked to her, she was almost to tears. And then, by the time we got to the closing table, she was like so happy and so relieved. And that's the best feeling. When you can that's our job. You take their problem and you solve it for them. Like there's nothing better than that. And like that situation, there were even times where I was like, am I going to be able to help her with this? Like, even if we get this listing down, like, are we going to be able to be successful? Because the market still really wasn't super great. And we just had this history of this listing with these horrible photos. And like, there was a lot of pressure on both of us because I really wanted to deliver for her. Um, but when you can, it's always good. So she was kind of like very lost when I met her. And then I was even like, how do I fix this? And we were able to figure it out. So that
Yeah, I
was
mean
that was
that
definitely
I was told, but right before I got in this job, that when you're in real estate, you're really, really changing people's lives. You're helping them with probably the biggest decision they've ever made in their life, maybe after getting married. But you're changing lives in this job. So yeah, like it is nice to get the commission and to have a free schedule, but you're also changing lives in this job. Melissa, how are we on time right now?
I'm good. I'm good for another like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes sounds perfect. So
Yeah,
we could hit a flat hour. Okay,
yeah,
so I don't know if you're allowed to pass on this question. I don't know if it's too
sure.
uncomfortable. Approximately how much per month do you spend into your business?
So it's kind of hard for me to say. I do a lot of like postcards and mailers.
Mhm.
I do a lot of video, but like I have a video production background, so I don't spend money on those videos.
Mhm.
I definitely am looking into like different systems.
Mhm.
My office has a really great CRM, but I think CRM, if you were gonna invest in something monthly, a CRM would be good.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
kind
be
of have more, so how I do it, I kind of have more of like a yearly budget
okay.
of what I want to spend. So like I'll do like this is how much I want to spend on networking. And I am a part of a few networking groups, things like that. This is how much I want, but I don't really do like I haven't really done tons of like paid advertising.
Yeah. Which you can make money off of. Like, I know people who put money into Instagram and Facebook, and there is some yield there. It is difficult to go that route. One
And
of
this is the thing about that. I think people get so caught up with, and there's a big business too. So you have to be careful behind people trying to be like, go viral, go viral. Sure. If I wanted a brand deal, it would be great for me to know how to go viral. I don't want a brand deal. I want to help people buy and sell houses. So I love Facebook and Instagram, but my favorite thing about Facebook and Instagram is you can do these things for free. And honestly, like boosting posts and doing things from business pages, the algorithm has changed. Like that's not the most efficient way to do it anyway. Um, so I think in terms of like social media, where I focus is not necessarily like, and you want to have a hook in your video and you want to make sure your video is short and all those things and that there's content in it and that it's relatable and there's movement and all that stuff. But oh my God, I just lost my train of thought.
No, you said that it's not the best, it's not so effective.
Oh yeah. So I'm not really, I think it's important so that when people look for you, they can find a well-rounded version of you. So that's how I like to use social media. I'm a big believer in like QR codes. Like if you're going to do a mailer, put something on that mailer that you can get some analytics back. You're spending a lot of money on those mailers. But even if it's just like a QR code for like I have one that says find Melissa King. I hang it up at open houses. QR code for my Instagram, QR code for my reviews. People want to know, like we're all in the social media age. We all, are used to if someone meets a realtor, they're going to look you up. So I'm more focused on like making sure those videos are, good quality and have good information, but it's not necessarily about like getting out there to every single person. It's really more about like when people come to find me, they can find what's the right word? Like an authentic voice.
Yeah.
Like be yourself.
I think that as far as like Instagram and social media goes, quality of video is way more important than putting money into ads. Like I would rather, put money into the quality of the video
Yeah.
and zero money into ads than have a crappy video and put $100 into ads, quality
Right. And
is
the thing
much
is
more.
like you can spend that money in a better way. Like for me, I can do a lot of this stuff by myself, but like there are lots of realtors doing really amazing things with videographers right now. So if you're going to spend and I'm not going to say a videographer is going to be $100, but if you're going to spend the money instead of spending it on something that is mechanical, just, oh, I'll boost this,
Hmm.
spend it on, well, I'm going to spend this money on a videographer and I'm going to
Yep.
go out into my community and I'm going to meet some business owners in my community. And like those are huge contacts.
Mm.
So definitely being smart about how you're spending is important. But I
Yeah.
like free things. So I like again calling, door knocking, making videos by yourself, things like that. Not by yourself, but you know.
You like the old school way more.
I do, but again, I've been in the business a long time, so I'm a
Uh,
little bit of a dinosaur. But I let, people get in and it's easy to be like, oh, you need this, and this, lead generation. I've never really been big into like lead gen companies or things like that. Because again, like that's what I'm supposed to be doing anyway. I'm supposed to be having these conversations. But again, social media is a way where you can kind of get the best of both worlds. If you can make a connection or get a niche or start a channel or those things, those are things that you can do too to grow your brand.
Yes, there are many different ways to grow. I wanted to talk about the CRM a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I had Chime for a little bit.
Mhm.
I For me, I just find Google Excel like very effective. I just put everything on Excel, name, address, and information. So tell us, you said that you find CRMs very important. Tell us which one you use if you're comfortable, and tell
Yeah.
us why you feel, how does it help?
So yeah, so and again, this a lot of this can be most of these brokerages now will have their own CRMs. And I would say if you're with a brokerage right now, before you go out and spend money on a CRM, call your office manager and see who can walk you through the CRM that you have because you might not even know like how many amazing things. So I use the CRM through Signature.
Okay.
And when I was with my previous office, I was using their CRM as well. Every office is different. Some offices have them, some don't. I really love the CRM that I have at Signature. There's a lot of AI components where like, and I was Google Doc. I was on a Google Doc until probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
Mhm.
I had everyone on it. And if you use it, use it. But take that Google Doc and upload it into a CRM because with the like my clients right now are and prospects too, like people who are looking to buy and sell but are not ready yet. I noticed yesterday two of them are looking through my interface at condos to downsize. So
Mhm.
I was even able to, and that's another touch point because I could see that on the back end of my CRM and I could say, oh, here's three others that you might like. Let me send you those.
Mhm.
And you can send it through the CRM. My CRM has on people's birthdays, it will text on birthdays. If somebody texts me something about something they saw on the interface, it will text them back and say, hey, I'll get back to you really quick. So
Oh, it
like
does
things
it
like that.
automatically.
Yeah. So there's a lot of automated. And again, I would check with you're with HomeSmart, right?
Yes, yes.
I see it right behind you. So I would check to see if you guys have anything like that because before you spend money on something, but it's like I was looking at it the other day and I was just like, there's even more things on here that I don't even know. So the thing with the CRM that's a little different from a Google Doc is those things are going to be operating for you even when you're not thinking about it.
It's working for you.
Yeah. And if you already have the stuff on a Google Doc, make it a CSV. You can upload it. A lot of times you can send it to your office manager. They'll upload it for you.
Mhm.
I know with Signature, we have a support team with our CRM. So I emailed it to the support team, and within 2 hours, my entire sphere was on there. Um, so I definitely think, and there's definitely there's people get nervous about like having their CRM with their brokerage. I know mine specifically, those are my leads. I keep them when I leave, they come with me. These are conversations that people can have when they join brokerages. If there are things that are important to you, like there are specific things that were important to me when I moved that needed to be in there. These contracts don't need to be boilerplate. If you want something, ask for something. I know that's a little off topic, but
No, no. Well, that actually brings me to my next question.
oh, good.
That you just made me think about. Actually, I should write this question down for the future.
Yeah.
What are, let's say, the top three things that you look for in a brokerage?
Oh, that's a good question.
I haven't
Um,
written that down. You just gave me that idea.
Yeah. So I actually just moved a little bit, maybe like a month ago. So I definitely think the things that were important to me was systems. I want to know that there are systems in place because those things are time consuming, as you know, time consuming to figure out by yourself, especially if you're not on a team. So definitely systems were important to me. Um, Integrity, very important to me.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really liked about Signature is not only, they were telling, oh, we have a food pantry, great, you guys are getting out into the neighborhood. And then they have like a specific system of how to make sure that the food is not wasted, but that bad food is not given out. So there's like a way to so they actually have, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, you guys actually care. This isn't about the social media posts. This is about how to make this actually efficient and get the food to the people. So definitely integrity is important, systems is important. And I think just like having office managers that can answer your questions. Again, like my biggest fear is that I'm going to run into a challenge with a client that I don't know how to handle. So
Hmm.
like that's going to happen. Like we're all learning, we're all going to hit new experiences. So having an office manager that you can really count on, broker, office manager that you can count on and trust is super important. And knowing that those people will know the answer.
Interesting that you didn't even mention commission.
No, it's a big deal. It's definitely a big deal. And it's something that, I fought for. And it was certainly the company that I ended up going with, had all those things. And then the commission piece is important too. But this is what I would say. make your decision based upon the your values, and then in terms of the dollars and cents, that is all negotiable. We're realtors.
Everything's negotiable in our business.
Everything's negotiable. We're realtors. We're negotiating. And if you feel, one of the things is I know some realtors can feel very uncomfortable negotiating with a broker.
Yeah.
That broker wants to know that you can negotiate. They're not going to be mad. Like they won't be. The worst thing somebody can say to you is no. And like, then, okay, I'll take some time to think about it. Is this still valuable to me?
Yeah, so one piece of advice that I would give is to choose a broker that you genuinely respect so that you're not like sucking up to some asshole that you don't like. Like I genuinely respect my broker. I think he's a good guy, and so choose someone that you really, really like and respect and
Yeah, like someone who
admire.
is in a position that you would like to be in.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what does their business look like? What does their but integrity is huge.
And someone that you feel free to text and call, definitely someone with an open door policy,
Yes.
as opposed to someone who like ignores your calls. Like that's to me, that's really important from my experience. Melissa, do you have any tips for new agents?
Yes, get in, what's the right word? Get immersed in the vocabulary of real estate. So whether you do that by door knocking, whether you do that by making videos, whether you do that by cold calling, role playing, know the vocabulary of, and the easiest way to do that is your market numbers. That's the easiest way. Do your market numbers, create a flyer, make a video, go door knocking, talk to the people. And then you'll realize like it's not about people are saying no to me, people like me, they don't like me.
Hmm.
Who can I help? How can I help them? How do I find them?
Focus on that. That's a good one. Focus on how you can actually help them. Don't just think about the dollar signs. Melissa, where can people find you?
Oh, well, if they're looking for me on Instagram, they can find me at MelissaKingsCastles. And on Facebook, you can just search Melissa King.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It was fun. Listen, I also have a mental health podcast. We'll talk about that after.
Sure.
So we could do like sort of a part two somewhere else. Melissa, it was so great having you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I had fun.
Yes, me too. Have a good one. Thanks.
You too.
Bye.